The Pacers take a 2-1 lead, outrunning and outgunning OKC's top defense. If the Thunder lose this finals, can we ever trust them again? And how much should the Spurs give up to pair KD with Victor Wembanyama? That's all today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are free. We are available wherever you get your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets, and your shot clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories every day with the help of Locked On's local experts. And I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt, was that the best game of the series?
Woo! Oh man, the first one though was so insane. It was a great game though. It was absolutely a phenomenal game. We've had 2 out of 3 great games, which honestly sometimes in the finals we don't get. It was a tremendous basketball game. The adjustments, the counters, the runs. Thunder go up big, Pacers go up, then the Thunder come back. It was just the basketball is so good, Haize.
From the Locked
On,
really
good basketball, really good basketball.
Yeah, from the Locked On Bulls podcast, we've got Haize. So I just had to make sure everyone knew that you were on the Locked On Bulls podcast. It might come up later. Haize, yeah, best game of the series, right? I mean, well, I don't know, because yes. I mean, we had the great moment in Game 1. Was that good enough to push that game to best game of the series, or did you like Game 3 more?
No, I think I could separate a moment from the overall game. Like, it was a better moment than anything in Game 3. The moment in Game 1 was a better moment, but the game, as far as basketball adjustments, runs, the excitement. Game 3 was the best game in the series so far. And one of the best things other than the game is all the Halliburton memes on Twitter afterwards. It's been golden.
The Pacers go up 2-1 on the Thunder.
Euro steps around that one, Doug Branson.
Hey. I don't know the rules. The Pacers go up 2-1 on the Thunder in a 116-107 victory. They score 40 in the second quarter. They win the fourth quarter 32-18. They shoot 45.5% from three. Lots of impact plays and players, but what made the most difference for the Pacers? Was it bench scoring, particularly from Ben Mathurin? Was it McConnell's 5 steals, all of which felt like they came off of OKC inbounds plays? Was it Miles Turner's defense late? Halliburton and Siakam finally scoring 20-plus points. Matt, where does your analysis of this game take you first?
Pacers defense, particularly attacking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to get him exhausted. So Mark Daigneault, he still wants to play 1,300 guys every game in this series, but he decides to make Shai the one guy that he plays more. He plays him 42 minutes in this contest. Not a guy that's used to putting those minutes in because they've been so good he doesn't have to. Well, they threw him in action after action after action and wore him down. He had no legs by the end of that game. That was a great long-term game plan by the Indiana Pacers. 106 offensive rating for OKC, despite them the Pacers didn't shoot the lights out in this game. The role players didn't shoot better. The role players made steals. TJ McConnell's running that second quarter. After that first quarter, I hated the script for the Pacers. Thought that game was getting out of hand. And that second unit, by the way, sneaky adjustment from Rick Carlisle. Aaron Nesmith, he usually plays the full first quarter. No. Pulls him out, only 4 minutes first quarter, puts him in with that second unit to calm him down defensively, and that helps that run a lot along with how TJ McConnell played. Great stuff from Rick Carlisle, great stuff from the Pacers defense getting into those guys, and they wore them out by the end of the game. They wore down the youngsters.
Haize, what did you think was the biggest factor?
I think that of course, the defense that they played, the bench, but also they were in attack mode. They were 11 of 18 in the paint for 61% and 14 of 23 for 60% in the restricted area. Like, they attacked that entirety of that game, and I don't know if the Thunder were ready for that. And this is where, when we talk about like the Pacers being the better half-court team, their ability to do things like this, like, yeah, they didn't shoot the ball like crazy, but they were in attack mode on offense and defense the entirety of the game, and every run they had to answer for. And they did not go into the half down big. They were actually up in the half, which is something that I did call out as a big thing to look out for in Game 3.
All right, shout out Haize. That's what surprised me most about this game, is that Indiana kind of telegraphed everything that they wanted to do going into this game. They weren't hiding the adjustments. They wanted to get downhill. They wanted Halliburton wanted himself to be more aggressive. He was. Siakam, same thing. And the Thunder allowed them to do that. We're going to talk about the Thunder side of this in just a moment. That's what surprised me most about this Game 3. Locked On Pacers host Tony East didn't technically pick his favorite, his biggest factor, but if we can extrapolate it from what he led his show with today, it was Ben Mathurin all the way.
All the stuff that great scorers can do, Ben Mathurin did in this game, and he paired it with the defense that kept him on the floor. He didn't make hardly anything. He only had one turnover, kind of mistakes that make you go, oh, what's he doing? What was he thinking on that play? None of that kind of stuff. Just rock solid on all the little stuff and absolutely eye-poppingly perfect on all the stuff that makes him, again, a unique one-of-one talent for the Pacers. And the Thunder don't have a great answer for him. Like all the time against OKC, I'm not like they have awesome defenders. If they wanted to just stick one of their best defenders on Ben Mathurin, they could. But with the way they are built and with what they're trying to put on the floor in this series, it's so hard for all of Dort and J-Dub and Cason Wallace and Caruso to all be on the floor and defending well, and the Thunder score enough and have the right big man combos on the floor. There's always something for the Pacers to at least poke at.
So Ben Mathurin, 27 points, 9 of 12 from the field. Haize, is Mathurin's development into the starting unit eventually the key for the Pacers to push this finals run into contention over the next 5 years? Is he the key to doing that?
It could be. Ben Mathurin is a really good talent. And one of the things that I love, I remember his rookie year when they were asking him about like playing, and he said, LeBron James is going to have to show me who he really is. And I was like, hey, to say that as a 19-year-old is crazy. But he has that type of edge to his game. He's just a little inconsistent at times. So I think if Ben Mathurin does develop into that starter and a high-level starter for the Pacers, yeah, they could be in contention for years and years to come.
14 points off of pick and roll for Benedict Mathurin. He had that one, like a couple of great cuts in this game, but he had 14 points on 7 pick and rolls. He had a 2.0 points per possession mark in those possessions in a single game environment in the finals. That's massive. I have a lot of criticisms from OKC's side of this about what they did. Again, the arrogance, I think, of this team kind of shows up. I love Mark Daigneault. I think he's got such a good vision for how to execute the program, but his individual decisions get a little arrogant at sometimes. And I thought that in this game, they showed up once again. Mathurin 2 years ago was like a rookie of the year candidate. Like this was a guy that I think a lot of us looked at and was like, oh, hey, this could be like a really great scorer. And he's been moved to the bench and been asked to take a lesser role. And I don't think it's always been that he's been thrilled with that. But he is setting himself up to take that step as he gets older. I actually wonder, Doug, the opposite. Instead of like, oh, is Benedict Mathurin going to be the guy for the Pacers in the future? If you're another team, do you look at Benedict Mathurin and go, wait, what if he could be our Tyrese Halliburton? Not as a passer, but just a guy entering his prime, a young guy that maybe we can go get because the Pacers are going to be a little strapped for cash. And we can go grab him, and maybe he could evolve into that next step. For you to do this in this game, in this environment, I think shows that Mathurin has made the right stuff.
I think both Mathurin's performance and the Indiana Pacers team performance makes their offseason so much more interesting. Do you agree, Matt? Like, I was going to ask this a little bit later in the show, but we can do Thunder. We'll give Thunder some time to breathe in the next segment. But if Indiana, if they win the finals, or even if they just push this to 7, do you think that they look at their team a little bit differently and say, maybe we make some upgrades or we make some different decisions than we would have made otherwise had we exited the second round, and we actually try to contend for the next 5 years by reloading this roster?
I mean, I think they just try and retain as much as possible, right? Like they're pretty well set for next year. They're going to get Miles Turner probably on an extension. That's already my informed guess is that's probably 80% of the way down, unless a team comes in over the top with a $40 million offer. So they're going to be able to keep Turner. Everybody else is pretty much in. Everybody else is pretty much there. They don't have a lot of guys coming off, but they're still going to have to deal with the financial realities being in Indiana. Like Herb Simon's not going to be like, yes, spend into the second apron. That will not be the case. But it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward because of the number of guys. I think you want to keep this core together as much as you can until it proves it's gone stale.
Haize, do you agree? Do you think they should keep it together, or do you think that they should view this as a unique window that they squeeze through. And if they want to keep going through that window, they're going to have to make some changes.
No, I think they keep this core together. I think you, like we talked about with Ben Mathurin, you have a young player on this team that is still developing at number 22, and that can kind of continue to push you even further. This. I mean, we're only in a year and a half since Pascal has come there. So no, I think you keep this team together. I don't think you need to make big changes to this roster, and you just keep riding this out as long as you can. Now, maybe in a year or two, you may have to make that, but as it stands right now, I think you keep everything the same.
Okay, so neither of you want to start any kind of KD to ND sort of rumors yet, but there's plenty of time left in the offseason to figure that out. We're going to talk more about Kevin Durant. We've got some more intel on what Phoenix could possibly want back in return for that star trade. That's coming up. Plus, we'll hear from Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder on how the Thunder are possibly going to respond to this Game 3. That's coming up on Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Game Time. There is nothing like the NBA Finals in general, and particular these NBA Finals, nothing like it. The intensity, how every single possession seems to matter, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere that you really have to experience live, and this year's Finals are already delivering. If you want in, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats for playoff games, for Finals games, for any game. Prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time, it's a total game changer. The NFL season is approaching, and I'm already looking at my fall calendar and picking out which games I'm going to hit. You're going to find great seats for as low as $100 thanks to exclusive discounts from Game Time. And with the Game Time guarantee, your tickets are always 100% authentic, will arrive on time, and you're always going to get the best price with fees included. So what you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Sticking with the finals here, let's hear from Rylan Stiles, the host of Locked On Thunder, after their Game 3 loss.
This team is still in its infancy stages of becoming whoever or whatever they're going to be, which could be a dynasty, which could be a missed opportunity, a missed era. And the one thing that they need to exclusively change in the future is that, yes, they're good at responding. That can't be, right, their best pitch, though. You've got to go from being responders to tone setters. This was a game that you set a tone. And you win a Game 3 and go up 2-1, you've set a tone. You've set a bar as a 68-win team. You've set the expectation of winning this series. You come in here and you lose it, you've given brand new life to the underdog Cinderella story that's been great since January 1st as a truly elite team, even though they get talked about as if they are that Cinderella story in March, and a team that doesn't need a confidence boost and that has an extra home game to try to go up 3-1.
Haize, if the Thunder fumble this finals away, are you ever going to be able to trust them again? Like next year, for example, if they come into the postseason, they've got 74 wins. Would you still make them the title favorite if they fumble away these finals?
Yeah, I still would. I would still trust them another year. Now, if they do this 2 years in a row, then my trust is done. But if they fumble this finals, it's still a young team, and like people have said, sometimes when you're young, you got to fail first, and then you figure out how to rebound after that point. If that's what the Thunder do, they wouldn't be the first team to do that. So I'm not gonna hold it against them to where I just won't trust them again. They're still going to be a really good team for a long time to come, and they're going to get a title. I feel very confident that they're going to get a title within the next 2 or 3 years. If this year isn't their year, it's because they came up against a team that's better coached than them and it has the depth to match them.
My problem is that it's not like I don't think highly of OKC. I think this is the best organization in sports. I think Sam Presti has done everything right. I think they have done collectively as a group everything right. They're incredible. Best defense, high-level offense, star players, great talent's only going to get better. But when we start saying they're like, I had a conversation with somebody this week who was like, yeah, I mean, I put the over-under on their titles at 3.5. And I'm like, God, slow down.
Crazy.
Like we gotta just like when the Thunder made the finals in 2012, we had this exact same conversation. Of, well, they're going to be back. They're going to be here for years. Never went back with that core. It's too hard. It's too difficult. The NBA, spoiler alert, the NBA is difficult. And a lot of things that can go wrong for you. So many things went right for OKC. I think if they win this title, they are more likely to win another one. And it's not about like how to win. Like I do think there's a little matter of how to win. I also will say, Doug, I think that like in the comments, they keep going back to the Nuggets series over and over and over again. They keep going back to it as in like, well, we're not worried because this happened with the Nuggets. And I'm like, that was that series. That was then. This is now. This team doesn't have Michael Porter Jr. with one shoulder literally grabbing rebounds with one arm. It doesn't have Aaron Gordon who roasts his hamstring in game 6 and is barely able to get on the floor in game 7. It doesn't have Nikola Jokic, who is constantly trying to grift for calls up and down the floor constantly because he can't figure out the defense. The squad is different. You cannot rely on that. You're going to have to figure out this series in this way. They have shown in these playoffs that they can win close games. They're 0-2 in the series when it gets close. The problem is just like they have to win by margin, and they are not winning these margins by enough, whether it's points off of turnovers or last night turnovers at all. They are not winning the margins. That's their formula. This isn't the best offense in the league. And if the other team is able to shoot effectively, despite your good defense, and not turn the ball over, this is what happens. Like they're going to have to play better and get better performances from their guys, and they're going to have to win these margins, which is what got them there in the first place.
Yeah, how much of this, Haize, how much of this is that they would lose to the Pacers, an inferior opponent? It's not a Celtics, reigning champs. It's not a Cavs, best team in the East, and they're healthy. There's no, and this is not disrespect the Pacers. I think we've all acknowledged how amazing Halliburton has been and Carlisle, how he's coached them. But the Thunder wouldn't be losing to those teams, and they would be fully healthy.
Yeah, but I think that it's a combination of, yes, they are losing to the Pacers and they're supposed to be a better team than the Pacers, but I also think that to a degree people have underrated the Pacers. This is a team with experience. They have more experience than the Thunder as far as playoff experience, as far as finals experience with Pascal and Rick Carlisle. So I think it's a unique set of circumstances to that point that we also have to review. We can't just look at it as like, oh, well, you lost to the Pacers, so, we can't trust you because of that, because the Pacers are a really good team. And I think there's some of that we underrated the Pacers just a little bit in this case, but it's still disappointing. The Thunder should have been able to win this series, but the Pacers and their depth and their coaching and everything, this is why matchups matter in the playoffs. It's not as simple as no championship is won on paper. I guess this is the best way to just word it.
I think I'll go back on what I said earlier and say, like, I will actually give them a break because what we're seeing is an unprecedented run. The number of clutch shots, the number of clutch performances. We do not see 4 seeds or higher win these kind of games. Like, it would be such an outlier situation. That's not great for them, I think, because it's like your one shot. Maybe you got outed in this terrible, but it's like unstoppable juggernaut of black magic. But on the other hand, like, I do think it's if you go back every single year, you are more likely to get there once. I kind of get it. But I do think it's a little bit easier for me to kind of be like, okay, let's not overreact just because they lost to a worse team. So did the Cavs, right? So did the Celtics. This is the new NBA. And I think it would take a little bit of the sting off, I think.
All right, so they haven't lost yet. Obviously, they're just down 2-1. The series is not over, but it is an interesting thought experiment. Let's take it back to the series at hand and where it is right now. When you look at SGA's performance last night, when you look at his teammates' performance last night, do you think that SGA was not getting enough help from Chet Holmgren, from Jalen Williams, from the supporting cast? That was a storyline in the last postseason. Was that the case, or was he trying to force the issue a little too hard, Matt?
I think the Pacers played great defense. I think Shepherd in particular did a really good job of defending without fouling. I do not think it is a coincidence that in this game he only gets to the line for 6 free throws. Now they had 30 free throws as a whole because Jalen Williams was a truck, but he needs the free throws. Like, he's got to be able to draw those calls in order to keep his efficiency up. 9 of 20 from the field and only 1 of 3 from 3. Like, he's not a 3-point shooter. The Pacers, somebody else commented on this on Twitter, and I think it's notable. You do get used to playing this Thunder team. Like, you get used to playing to how it is to play them because you get used to playing any opponent you play, no matter how tough they are. The problem, I think, for a team like maybe the Wolves was they were already so far down, it didn't matter by the end of it. Like, you play better against the Thunder by the end of the series in the beginning, and the Pacers stealing game one gave them this opportunity to be like, all right, now we're getting a little bit settled in. I think they're going to have to, like, they got good contributions from Jalen and Chet. That's great. If Shai has a normal game, even just a few points more, that's probably enough here. I think they're okay, but I do think that Shai is going to have to probably have, like, this is one where he's going to hit the moment here, the same way that everyone was freaking out about Tyrese Halliburton for 2 games.
Yeah, I think he had. As far as the question, like he got help last night, so I don't think it's you can blame that Shai didn't get enough help. You got 20 points from Chet, 26 from Jalen Williams. Like, he got more help in this game than what he did the other games. Like, to Matt's point, he didn't get to the free throw line, so Shai's going to have to be special throughout all this series. This is not a series like people thought that you can coast in against the Pacers. The Pacers are coming here; they're adjusting and playing tough defense on you. So you're going to need Shai to be very special, especially now. You cannot lose Game 4 against the Indiana Pacers and go down 3-1 back home. You just can't.
We'll talk more about Game 4 tomorrow. Speaking of not getting to the free throw line, Tyrese Halliburton still has not taken one single free throw in this series. Over under, Matt, we'll say 1.5 trips to the free throw line for Halliburton the rest of the way.
Under. He's not going to put his head down and burrow to the rim. Like, he beats the defense. Like, he knows how to beat the defense and doesn't need to resort to such tactics. I think there's real value in drawing contact and being that kind of force, but Tyrese understands his game. So I'm going to say under. I don't think he gets a free throw.
Don't doubt it, because when I said yesterday that Tyrese Halliburton needed to score 28, 10, and 9, and he came away with 22, 11, and 9, I'm just saying, because Matt said that, he's going to put his head down, and we're going to see a masterclass by Tyrese Halliburton get to the free throw line 8 or 9 times in the game.
Probably.
All right. Well, I just want to say one other thing. Giving second chances, being so generous to young teams. I just wish that Moore and Haize were my dad. You guys are such good dads.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up on Locked On NBA, we're going to talk about all of the Kevin Durant rumors swirling about where his next destination will be in the trade market. How much do the Suns want in return for Kevin Durant? That's coming up on Locked On NBA. This episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by Wayfair. There's nothing like stepping into your own outdoor space and feeling like you've escaped to a personal oasis. If you're wanting to update your patio this season, Wayfair has made it so easy to turn it into a space that feels like yours. Comfortable, stylish, ready for summer. Wayfair has everything you need to level up your outdoor space. Conversation sets, outdoor bars, fire pits, hot tubs, gazebos, and yes, even the perfect string lights to really set that vibe. It's like giving your backyard that resort feel without the resort price tag. I'm in the middle of giving my front porch a refresh. My style leans clean. It leans modern. So I love being able to go into Wayfair's site and filter, find exactly what fit my space and my budget. Don't wait. Make your outdoor space your dream oasis today with Wayfair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Make sure you're checking out Locked On NBA Game Night. They've got a great recap of Game 3 up right now on this feed. And we've talked a lot about reloading in the trade market as it pertains to adjustments that the Indiana Pacers may want to make if they win these finals or if they get it to Game 7. But we've got some other trade market discussions to have. The market for Kevin Durant services becoming more clear by the day. We have a short list of teams, and now we have what Phoenix is seeking in return. For that, let's go to Locked On Suns.
About what Brian Windhorst had to say, Ben, on ESPN's airwaves on Wednesday, where he said, from what I am told, the Suns are looking for a comparable package for what they traded Kevin Durant, which is impact players and multiple draft assets. Obviously, if we go back to 2023, Ben, we know that was Mikal Bridges, that was Cam Johnson, that was 4 firsts in a swap, I believe, and Jay Crowder, which then the Nets flipped him for 5 seconds. So that was quite the haul.
Can we be for real? Can we swallow our pride and understand that that's not what the Suns are going to get? The Suns are not getting back 4 first-round picks and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder in a 2028 pick swap. But they are going to get something. And I got to be honest with you, man. I know you might be a little bit more skeptical than me. The more I read, the more that reports come out, I think the Suns are going to get more than I think you and I are both expecting. And I think that is at least 1 first-round pick, but I'm pretty confident they might get 2.
Matt, do you think in a month's time we're going to be talking about how little the Suns got back for KD, or shocked at how much they got back, or something in between?
I think probably a little bit more towards shocked how little. I think that Ben's being a little optimistic there. Expiring contract, valuable going into 2026 for sure. But if you keep KD and you're assuming like we want to do this because he'll be successful, then you have to keep him, and that means that you eat up that cap space that you clear with that. You don't like have multiple years of service on him. He is over 35. Like there's all these kind of factors. Like this isn't 2023. Price of the brick has gone up. Like I don't think that this is going to be as good of a return as they're hoping for. I still think that they'll probably get good assets, but they're not getting something like they got when they traded him the first time. I understand them setting the standard there. But I also don't know that there's going to be an insane bidding war. I think it's more of like, yeah, there's a lot of teams that are interested in a guy that is forcing his way out and that you want to go ahead and move on from. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get awesome return in the market for those.
Yeah, set your price high. Make teams talk you down. Like you want to go into negotiations with a high asking price and let them talk you down. But I don't think they're going to get anything near what they gave up to get KD. But I think they'll get a decent set of assets back. I don't think it's going to be, quote from one of my favorite shows, we're not going to be overwhelmed. We're not going to be underwhelmed. We're just going to be whelmed by the trade package that they get back for Kevin Durant.
Well, we might feel whelmed, but the team that trades for KD is going to want to be overwhelmed by the results of getting KD and integrating him into the team. They're going to want to be competitive right now. They're going to want to make the finals. If KD gets traded to a team and that team makes the finals next season, Haize, KD will be the blank option. Is he going to be the first option on that team? Is he going to be the second option on that team? Is he going to be the third option on that team? Where do you see him fitting in with his next team? And you can give us a few examples if you have a team in mind.
Houston Rockets will be the first option scoring-wise because I think they're going to need his scoring in the half court and in tough moments. I think he'll be the first option scoring-wise. If it's Houston that ends up trading for him, if it's the Spurs, he'll be the second option. I think Wemby's going to take a really big leap offensively next year. So if it's the Spurs, second option. So yeah, I think those are the two most likely teams to trade for him. If it's the Minnesota Timberwolves, which are outside chance here, he'll definitely be the second option as well. He may be the third option if it's the Minnesota Timberwolves, to be 100% honest with you. So
wow,
there you go.
I will. I think the important part of this is Doug's question. If that team makes the finals, that's the important part. Like, yeah, it'll be the first option in Houston. They're not making the finals then. If they want to make the finals, he's got to be the second best player, whether that's New York and Jalen Brunson, whether it's Boston and with Jason Tatum conceivably returning, whether it's Minnesota with Anthony Edwards, whether it's the Los Angeles Clippers with Kawhi Leonard, whether it's any number of teams that I think they've explored this kind of option. I do think that there's a possibility of, I think the strongest possibility is that he'll have to be the second option, because I do think having KD as your first option he's great. He's an elite scorer, but you need that first option to raise, I think, the tide a little bit more.
All right, rumors of a Kevin Durant, Victor Wembanyama pairing in San Antonio will not go away, but the Locked On Spurs podcast isn't feeling a lot of good vibes from their own fans about the idea of going all in for a win now. Let's listen to the team over there.
Why does it feel that some Spurs fans are pushing back when he's still producing?
Yeah, I think it's because of the cost. The rumors are that Spurs are going to give up, seems like everybody but, Castle and the number 2 pick and Wemby, and Fox. Given KD's age, and this is no disrespect, but as far as the Spurs timeline, to me, it just doesn't make sense to trade away that many future assets for one player, and whenever you and I talk, I keep talking about OKC. OKC's got a great young team, and they've got a lot of first round picks coming up, so they're going to keep replenishing. So to me, if you trade everything away for whether it's KD or Giannis or whatever, to me that's a little short sighted, because you're going to have to contend with OKC for the next 5, 10 years.
Matt, if you're the San Antonio Spurs, would you rather give up the 2 pick in this year's draft and one other piece, or let Phoenix essentially raid your cabinets for your depth or your future assets?
I'd rather pass. Your timeline's good, man. Be patient. Victor's coming off of a blood clot. Be patient here. There's no reason to rush this with KD. Another star comes available, sure. Okay, but like Fox, KD, Wemby, that's a really good team. I just don't know that you're still going to be ready to contend right now, and your window with KD is too short. Like, Victor is amazing, but he still is probably going to need a few more years. He still is figuring out who he is in this league, and that's before we deal with all the conditioning coming back from the blood clot, et cetera. That said, Castle, Keldon Johnson, or Jeremy Sohan, multiple firsts that are not the 2, that makes sense. Just don't trade the number 2. Like, you either keep Stephon Castle or you keep Dylan Harper. You have to choose between those 2. I do think it helps them, honestly, to move one of those guys, because that's going to be an uncomfortable situation. But that, to me, is like what I would do. Is I've not given Castle and Harper. I would really honestly lean towards trading Castle rather than Harper.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Matt there, especially in the part of don't do it. Like, I don't know why the Spurs are in on this right now. Like, I get it, getting Wemby some experience now with having KD on that team and going on these playoff runs, but you're right there. Like, I think you're right there with growth from your young players. Like, you're right there. Now, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, I'd be willing to build something around that to try to get somebody in here. But if I'm the Spurs, I'm more so waiting to see do the Celtics blink on Jaylen Brown and maybe have to move one of those guys. I'd be willing to go all in on that. But if I'm the Spurs, I'm going to be protective of as many of my future assets as possible, because I don't really see Kevin Durant winning them a title anytime soon.
All right, finally, we can add Hawks coach Quinn Snyder and Bulls head coach Billy Donovan to the list of head coaches the Knicks have not been allowed to speak with. Did Dolan send a request out on a listserv? Like, this is nuts. Matt, how is Mike Malone or Johnny Bryant or any of the coaches that the Knicks are eventually allowed to actually speak with supposed to feel about all this? I mean, essentially, they're not a second fiddle; they're like an 8th or 9th fiddle.
Yeah, I think it's pretty rough, man. I really do think it's pretty rough. I would turn down the job. A lot of this reeks of Dolan's interference. Like, there's a lot of folks that think Dolan's back in the building, and if he's back to being involved, don't want to take that anymore. So I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's not uncommon for teams to ask. I'll say this: it's not uncommon for teams to ask. It is uncommon for this many teams to leak it. It seems like the league is kind of pranking Jim Dolan a little bit, which I personally love, and I'm sure Haize would appreciate as the Prince of Petty.
Absolutely. This just screams of desperation. That's what this screams of. Like, it's not good. It's not a good look at all that you fire this winning coach in Tom Thibodeau, who won under you, who took you further than you've been in basically 20 years. And now it's like you're fighting for relevance to go after everybody else's head coach. It's like, no, go get your own. Like, it's not like there aren't really good prospects out there. There's Mike Malone, Mike Brown, Taylor Jenkins. Like, these guys are just sitting there. It's not even to mention some of the really good assistants that are on the bench of really good coaches right now. So the Knicks this just seems like really big desperation. Like I said, my best friend is a Knicks fan. Shout out to JB. And I have been trolling the hell out of him in our text message thread for the last 24 hours. So thank you for that.
Is a funnier outcome them hiring Mark Jackson during Pride Month or them hiring and promoting Rick Brunson? That's my question right now. Is like, what's the funnier outcome between these two situations?
I don't know the rules. If you like what you heard today,
I'm not touching that one.
If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including YouTube. Thanks so much to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making Locked On NBA your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NBA Big Board Show. We've been paying a lot of attention to the finals, obviously, but you got to get your draft intel, and you got to do it from our NBA draft expert, Rafael Barlow, who reacts to every workout, interview, and rumor leading up to the NBA draft. Find Locked On NBA Big Board on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Enjoy our beautiful game this weekend. Be kind to each other. We'll see you right back here tomorrow to preview Game 4 of the NBA Finals on Locked On NBA.